Hello and welcome to the channel. Nigeria is a country famed for its corrupt practices. Corruption in low places, corruption in high places. From top to bottom, corruption has seeped so deep into the roots of the country. Sometimes you question if certain corrupt practices are even corrupt because it is the norm. A story broke out last week of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwola, in a wheelchair, meeting President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu in London as both men try to come to some sort of arrangement that would ensure in no small measure the President-elect, with his mounting cases of election fraud leveled against him by the opposition, dropped. Of course, the story was debunked by both Tinubu's team on the Supreme Court, but in a country that corruption feels like second nature, is it really untrue that the said meeting took place? We will never know now, would we? Subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you. The CJN on wheelchair. If you are unlucky not to have a representative in the Judicial Council, even if you are innocent, you can be found guilty. If you have read D.O. Olagoke's 1962 written play entitled The Incorruptible Judge, you will understand why it is almost an impossibility for Nigeria to operate an impartial and corrupt-free system. Nigeria's latest narration on corruption is the allegation that the 2023 election, especially the presidential election, was corruption-ridden. Three major Nigerian politicians, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Bola Tinubu, jostled for the presidency in the February 25th election. At the end of the exercise, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) declared Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress (APC) winner. Since then, his two opponents have inundated the system with complaints of vote rigging. The most recent narrative in the back-and-forth allegations was a riveting story which claims that the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Kayode Ariwola, had sneaked out of the country to hold a meeting with Tinubu. He was pictured on a wheelchair. The purpose of the meeting, it was alleged, was to get Ariwola to quash the gossamer of electoral corruption allegations against Tinubu. Olagoke's The Incorruptible Judge is a tip of the iceberg in the cancer that corruption has become since the author penned the book. It is a story of a young school leaver who, upon submitting his application to fill an advertised vacancy, was asked to pay a bribe of £5. Rather than gratifying the request, he filed a report with the police and his corrupt employer was arrested. As usual in Nigeria, influences were thereafter spun to ensure that the corrupt employer did not go to jail. The applicant's father-in-law, who was a notable chief, was used to attempt to pervert the course of justice. However, the trial judge took his ground as an incorruptible judge. At the end of the day, the corrupt officer was convicted and sentenced to a term in prison. If you go into historical exposes on corruption in Nigeria like Karl Mayer's This House Has Fallen or Stephen Ellis' This Present Darkness, it may be difficult not to agree that the problem of corruption in Africa or Nigeria is genetic. In Myers is an audacious, brazen, and disturbing report of how corruption and favoritism have destroyed the fabric of Nigeria. Ellis, on the other hand, traced the roots of Nigeria's fraud-prone system to the immediate colonial era, plotting the graph to the present, and why Nigeria is globally perceived as a global headquarters of fraud. With the definition of corruption as an abuse of entrusted power for personal gains, you will realize that Nigeria is roiling right inside a puddle of stench. It is glaring that it may even be difficult to acquit any Nigerian of corruption. This is because there is hardly any distinction between the public and private and their purses, as well as public and personal gains. Since the exit of the colonialists in 1960, the structures of governance they left behind have proved incapable of withstanding the greater pre-colonial structure of corruption that they inherited. Hard as the British tried to battle the cankerworm with institutions of the police and the judiciary, Not long after they left, corruption swam ashore with a baffling notoriety. The political class that took power from them was utterly reckless, showing open disdain for accountability and process. If you had all the antecedents and precedents of the CJN office, it is very tempting to pronounce Ariwola as guilty as charged. The allegations are so salacious and riveting that it will be difficult not to agree with those leveling them. However, inconsistencies and inchoate ordering of the allegations are proving very damaging to the substance of the allegations. If you have ever been a victim of mob lynching and the irreparable damage it has done to the names of personalities in the past who were later found to be innocent of allegations by Nigeria's Roman mob, one will tarry a while before queuing behind salacious allegations. This is more so when these pieces of evidence were ones that obviously lack substance except their trolling content. Major Kaduna Nzeogwu put the problem of corruption in perspective when he remarked, "The country's enemies are the political profiteers, swindlers, the men in high and lower places that seek bribes and demand 10%, those that seek to keep the country divided permanently so that they can remain in office as ministers or VIPs, or at least the tribalists, nepotists, those that make the country look for nothing before international setting, those that corrupted our society and put the national political calendar back to their words and deeds." I will implore those leveling allegation of judicial corruption against Ariwola for being in cahoots with those who wanted to judicially subvert the people's will to provide irrefutable evidence of this. Mindful that we may be throwing an innocent man under a bus, FT allegations as this have to go beyond beer parlor gossips. They have to be concrete evidence to provide as the only credible evidence linking Ariwola with bribe that he, a man who those who know him claim limps, arrived or was about to board an aircraft and was found to be on wheelchair, is very tepid and cannot stand rigor of scrutiny. Nigeria must never allow electoral corruption to go into unholy mismatrimony with judicial corruption. They also must never allow this marriage to influence the final decision of who is their president from May 2023. It must, however, never be done by the martyrdom of an innocent man, since those who gave the wheelchair evidence to claim to have details of the meeting, why not provide them? For instance, CCTV evidence of Ariwola's arrival at the venue of the meeting, immigration arrival, and departure evidence, and more substantial tissues of evidence that we can use to crucify him. That's the news, guys. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Bye.